Imagine asking a girl out for over 5 years and she always rejects. Here's a prince who has been friends with Lei since childhood and he loves her very much. His father is planning to marry him off to a lady in the north that he doesn't even know, and he doesn't want that. He kept begging and asking Lei to marry him, but she refused. Eventually the prince fell ill and Lei came to see him. Immediately he asked her again to marry him. I don't know what Lei is thinking, but if I were in her shoes I'd think he wouldn't take me seriously if I accept. The prince grabbed her hands, begging her to marry him, if not he'd be married off. Lei let go and walked out on him, saying she too doesn't want to get married in this manner either. Watching Lei slam the door at him, our dear prince felt hurt. The prince met with one of his clothies Ejin and sulk on how Lei keeps rejecting him. The knight suggested he ask her why she's always rejecting instead of asking her to marry him. The prince jumped up thanking Ejin, which left him speechless and wondering if he was an idiot. The prince wasted no time and ran to meet Lei, asking her why she doesn't want to marry him. She replied annoyingly, saying this was the exact reason why she didn't want to marry him. Her reply left our dear prince confused. He doesn't understand anything. Should we call him daft? The prince went ahead to ask Lei if she was probably the type that's against marriage entirely. And she replied saying that wasn't it. She's only not married because she's waiting for the right person to show up. Ouch. This is definitely a dagger piercing our dear prince's heart. The prince yelled, asking Lei what she meant by that statement and what about him. Isn't he the right person? Well, obviously not. He wailed out, reminding her how he's been proposing to her every morning and she doesn't think he's the right one. Lei turned away from him, saying she was tired of the proposal games of his. He watched her walk away and couldn't even stop her. Oh my dear prince, I think you should try again some other way. Days passed by, and the prince was quiet, which Ejin found weird and started up its conversation with Lei. She pointed out he might have probably just came to his senses. Ejin stared at her, asking if she was all right. Oh, no way, she's not bothered about the prince not throwing himself at her like he used to. Ejin's question is justified. Just then the prince showed up. He greeted the two, saying it's been a while and they should keep up the good work. He turned away, leaving Lei shocked. No way. This is unlike him. Ejin spoke up immediately, saying the prince must have gotten over her. Lei squeezed on the thought of it. Poor girl, she's not fine at all. Lei, walking all by herself in the garden, wondered sadly if she had pushed him away too far. Just then a magical surprise love shape appeared in front of her, and she was amazed. I knew the prince wouldn't just give up like that. The prince showed up, calling her name while smiling and approaching. He knelt before her with a sincere expression, asking her once again to accept his proposal even though she might think he's not good enough. Watching him say these words, Lei smiled genuinely and the prince asked her formally again to marry him. Lei laughed as he bowed in his proposal and she replied saying yes. Oh my, did she just accept? The prince was totally shocked and asked if he heard her right, and she replied saying yes to him again. The prince stood up and asked if she was joking, and she chuckled softly. The prince promised to make her happy for the rest of her life. And she smiled, saying she'd look forward to that.